Ghostfacers! We visit ghosts when others will not. We're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot. Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We visit nightmare, we visit dread. Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We visit faceless, we visit dead.
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Road So Far.
You know, we're at the third mark of the show.
We're doing a thing that we do every
season, and if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah. We haven't done it a couple times in 5 seasons.
We're doing a little, recap. We finished season 5, which we've been saying this whole time. We've talked about it a lot. Was sort of like the initial context of the show.
Yeah, I mean, and season 5 specifically has been received as like huge critical acclaim, widely regarded as the show's like best season.
Yeah.
We may have some controversy opinions about those things.
I don't have any controversial opinions. The only opinions that are controversial are the ones that aren't mine.
Oh, okay.
The ones that deviate from me.
That sentence is slightly controversial. Speaking of controversy, the episode Hammer of the Gods was controversial among Indian and Hindu audiences.
I mean, that is not a surprise. We talked about that a little bit in that episode. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine they were like fully happy with the representation or the interpretations of things.
Absolutely not. Anytime you show a like people's like god, it probably is not always well received by especially
if you do it with no insight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
just like she's hot.
Well, that, or even just like I read a bunch of books, I'm pretty sure I get Kali now. It's like that's different than like someone who maybe is implicated in
But yeah, it's the 5th season. We're finally here. The third of the way through the like
crazy.
The like kind of in some ways penultimate episodes.
It's the turning point of the show.
In general, right?
Kripke leaves after this. We get new showrunners. Mm-hmm. We get kind of new directions for the show. And even though we're building on, and we're never like, it's not like we're not talking about the first 5 seasons. The first 5 seasons were like, had an arc.
Yeah, absolutely.
We start with Sammy, we end with Sammy.
Yeah. We kinda, Yeah. Very much, I think these first 5 seasons are about like one, like Sam needs to get in touch with his family and realize that like this is what's important to him. They need to like rectify the sort of like mother dying and like what that means to their family and get some understanding behind that. Mm-hmm. We need for Dean to basically have some acknowledgement that like maybe his childhood was weird and his brother is what's important and maybe that like he has trauma.
Really?
Yeah. And that's and then to sort of them to have to deal with the fact that like they're now implicated with like forces beyond like good and evil. Now there is like a lot of gray area with like angels and like destiny and
demons helped them.
Yeah.
Angels were, after them. Like
not all monsters are evil.
Not all monsters are evil, some are just trying to live a life.
And then realizing that like, heaven and angels and God is real.
a lot.
I think that like it's very much like it does tie up quite nicely in a little bow.
Totally.
Not without fault, obviously, but I think that there is a lot to be said about the fact that like they like had a concept, and they fully saw it through.
So I have a thing I want to kind of like. I don't know how much you've got like planned.
Not a ton.
Here.
No.
I have a thing I want to start as like a sort of framework. Here is we've done 5 seasons, and those 5 seasons, as you've been saying, are pretty contained. Yeah. I'd like you to try and rank your 5 seasons.
Whoa.
Because our rankings episode to episode are sort of contained to a season, sort of compared to what that season has been doing. But I'd like you to try to rank the first 5 seasons.
Okay. I mean, here's the thing. Right off the bat, season 5 is my number 1 season.
Sure.
I can't not be. I
sure.
Think at this point. I would probably say that season 2 is probably my least favorite.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's probably going to go 5, 4, 3, 1, 2.
Ooh. Okay. I'm just having a little looky here to see. I think mine is like, what did you say? 5, 4, 3, 1, 2?
Yeah.
In descending order?
Yeah.
So then mine, I think, is... I think mine is 5, 1, 3, 4, 2.
Wow.
Because season 3 is short, and there's a lot of weird crap in it.
Yeah.
And, the Bella thing's weird and not handled well.
Yeah.
But season 3 has, like, banger episodes. Mystery Spot, Juice and Bello, Ghost Facers are all in that season. Yeah, I think I have. I like the 7 Deadly Sins thing.
Sure.
There's the. Yeah, I think that would be my order of it. What are some of your like standout moments? Things where you think back on this kind of era of the show, this initial 5 seasons, and you go like, man, that scene or this performance or this moment or that monster, what are the things that kind of like stand out and you go like, man, they just fucking crushed it when they did this?
I mean, I think that the introduction of some of these like mainstay and then consular characters were really important. I think like things like bringing in Bobby to give them like a father figure was really, really important.
A father figure and also like a guy in the chair, like a resource. It's like a thing they were playing with the Roadhouse that never really solidified.
No. They had some characters and the Roadhouse was great. I think it was just like not fully formed enough of what they were going to do with it.
Yeah, or they were taking too long to get there or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved them, but it was just not concrete enough for me. I think Bobby really works because it fills in multiple roles. It fills in the person with like the wizard with all of the information. But
also someone who's like could theoretically, when you need them to, have a bit of like secret history about the family. Your dad never told, but you get exposition, you get lore, you get a father figure, you actual
get
care,
comedic value, like also like an emotional anchor
and a recurring set.
Yeah. A thing that the show always has to find. So I think that I really like that. Like I think he was such a key figure to bring in. And then obviously Castiel. I mean, the like necessary third figure in this.
Yeah. Sam and Dean really needed a third.
Yeah, which is weird going into the 6th season, seeing no sight of him.
Yeah, truly. Castiel, what a huge, like, the thing we talked about in season 4 is we had kind of forgotten about early Castiel and how kind of like cold and gruff and what, like, because as the show goes on and as season 5 even went on, you get those moments where, like when he gets drunk or whatever and stuff like that. You kind of explore him exploring being on Earth. But those early days of Castiel where he's just like, I'll throw you right back into the pit. You're like, oh shit.
And he's
Daddy Castiel, like he's in charge. He's like a soldier. And, it was kind of fun for me, at least, to go back and see kind of like where that character started and then kind of watch the moments where it evolved. You get the episode with Jimmy.
Yeah.
You get you get to like expose some of the humanity. The stuff with Anna kind of also is like some cracks in the foundation for Castiel,
well, and I mean, this is a character that was not supposed to be a long-term character that like ended up getting promoted to main cast because of the audience. I mean, the thing that I love about these first 5 seasons is this show figures out a lot of stuff, and we've talked about it throughout the episodes, but they really they discover its relationship with its audience in a way that I don't think on any other series I've ever seen has.
Yeah.
Like, I think its timing was perfect, and it with things like where the internet isn't the toxic place that it is now, and people haven't been taught to have such a combative relationship with media.
Oh, it would be interesting to see what happens with the Winchesters, because if they want to live up to the spirit of Supernatural, then there is this sort of dialogue with the fans. But like you were saying, like this has shifted a lot. I mean, I know Supernatural only just ended a couple of years ago. Like Supernatural lived into this era, but there's
its audience aged with it.
Its audience aged with it. It's different to come in with something new.
With audiences that are used to shows like Riverdale
or also just like that idea of like now when you speak to your audience, they're going to speak immediately back. They're so like the internet's so brutal constantly.
They have a history with a series that they're constantly comparing it to.
Yeah.
They are in a position where they're now like lines are constantly being drawn in the sand on the internet, and it's such a more like conflict ready like
and here's the I'm excited in my own way for that show.
Yeah,
but here's there's such a lack of imagination and literacy about like suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
And that the whole premise of that Winchester's show is basically like
flawed.
Is like throwing like a lot of sand in the eye of like continuity and lore, a thing that Supernatural was more or less pretty tight with.
Yeah.
I think you should just go into the Winchesters and just watch it and don't worry about that so much and have a good time. But I think it's a big swing, and I'm glad they're doing it, but it's also going to be the thing that causes the most problems for them, because like there's such like a lack of the general viewing audience understanding like how to separate things in their mind or just move. Like Rings of Power is a great example. I haven't watched the 4th episode yet. I'm 3 episodes in. It's taking a thing I love, Lord of the Rings, that has a lot of very specific stuff. And it's like full, like 2,500 years of history is happening within the span of like 4 weeks in this show. Things are condensed, they're out of order, blah, blah, blah. But it is still so like true to the spirit of it. Like there's a part in one episode where an elf kind of like cries because he has to cut down a tree. And I was like, well, yeah, this is Lord of the Rings. So I'm having a great time with it. But like, is it right? And the answer is absolutely not.
Which must be such a conflict for you.
It is, but I also like me 10 years ago would have been more worked up about it. But like, I just want to like things. Like I just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm smart enough to know which thing is right in which context or not. I don't have to watch Rings of Power and be like, they fucked it up, ergo it's bullshit. It's like,
sure.
Sometimes it is if you undermine something fundamental
about
wrong
it. And good.
If the Winchesters undermine something fundamental about the characters of John and Mary, then I will have that gripe.
Yeah.
And it'll be justified. But if their characters are intact and it's an interesting show, then it's like, who gives a shit if like before they weren't like hunters in that time? Like I don't care.
It's the thing I struggled with in Miss Marvel,
sure,
which was like they took a fundamental component of this character and changed the sort of the pieces of it,
right?
And I think that I it always is there for me, but also it's a good show and it captures the spirit and like covers a lot of the same bases.
And that's just it. That's where I'm at. So yeah, I mean, the thing you're talking about is like the fact that the show had this kind of dialogue and a real understanding with people in an era before those things got so extremified.
It was like the small period of time, honestly.
It was kind of the perfect window for
it was like people were getting more online. They were jumping into communities. Younger people were online and having conversations about and dialogues about media, and a show talked back for the first time and had a platform to do so.
Yeah.
And I think that not only did it talk on those platforms, but it also brought in those conversations onto the actual show.
Totally.
And I think that it did it in the right way. It did it in a winky way, but without being like it's a thing that I talk about, which is like, I think that it always knew a way to bring something in without it feeling like it's not like Marvel where they like bring in a thing that's like, this is the thing. Like this show very can nonchalantly bring in a thing without it feeling like it's ham-fisted.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about the references to other things, and it's like, it's truly, they do wink, but they don't go like wink in a way where if you didn't know it, you'd be like, well, that was a wink.
But they also
like when sometimes you say like it's a reference to a thing, and I go like, I guess it is.
But
if I knew that thing, I would have probably picked up on it. But if I don't know it, I'm not like, okay, well, I missed the wink. Like the show could still happen.
It doesn't do it in a way that like it like acknowledges that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
You're just like, if you know, then it's good. It's that whole thing where I talked about like if they were in an attic one day and they found like a sonic screwdriver and they're like, oh, and they threw it away. Yeah, like that's the way that they're not revel in these moments, and they don't give them like they don't make them precious. They're just like, oh, if you like a thing, this is a fun way for us to bring that in. But
yes, you're right. It kind of has a sort of like casual energy to how it loves and references other things.
And it's part of the tonality of the show. It's not like you're not suddenly shifting to ham-fist this thing in. It's just like the show is very constantly bringing up things and mentioning things, and like it's very conversational. So when something gets brought up, you're never like, oh, that's weird. That feels like intentional.
Right. Yeah. Totally. I completely agree.
And I think that's a big thing that always stuck out for me for these first few seasons. And it's a thing that first season doesn't really do. I think the first season is just setting up a premise of like...
First season is the most conventional TV version of Supernatural.
They go into season 1 and they're just like, can we make a show that is like playing off of horror tropes and it has these two brothers and maybe this overlying story that we're heading towards? That's sort of the whole thing with that first season. They're just like, it's more about the premise and the like the thematic sort of through line, but otherwise it's not getting past the format as much as it is just trying to figure out who it is through that first season. Like I think that is more of just like, does this work? And like, did the concept for the show work? And then once they get that, they're like, okay, what are we actually saying, and who are we as a show beyond the concept?
Totally.
And I think that beyond that, I find that the first 5 seasons, it's like you very clearly start going, oh, we can actually play with like metatextual writing. Like that is a thing that works in this because of like how bizarre the concept is.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, if we're meta, then maybe like how does that work from like a writing standpoint? Also from like if we go into heaven and things like that, it's like, well, that suddenly opens up the door for like way more play within like a metatextual universe.
Yeah.
And so I think like it starts figuring out, it's like, oh, well, we can be funny because we have these two characters that like a straight man and a funny guy who also have a lot of depth from these two different aspects. It's like, okay, well, we can bring in some funny, and it's like, well, if we have funny and metatextual, what does that bring us for characters? And it's like, that's how you get Gabriel. Like you get a trickster, and it's like suddenly it's like now we have a character that can play with the universe. Now we can get even more metatextual. You see that they put a little drop in the water and see how that works, and then nothing explodes. They just put in another one, and then they go, okay, and you just suddenly you're creating stone soup out of nowhere and without realizing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It is interesting to see how it grows. That in big piece of that is them being like, the fans think this is a thing, and then they kind of like put a toe in a little bit, and we use people like Ed and Harry as a window to that, or we use like Chuck and like the following of the Supernatural books,
and do you know what
as like a window into that. Having that convention episode is like a fun love letter, I think, to fans and the relationship to fans and things like that.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's a lack of ego from the writer's standpoint.
Right.
Honestly, I think that's what this show has sort of, is that it's a very self-aware writing staff who has a lack of ego. Because like I always point back to Lost, which is some of the most egotistical writing staff I've ever seen. So much so that like when the audience started to guess what was happening, they decided to change what it was. And that's egotistical writing. DC saw that.
That's the Armageddon.
That's going, oh no, you can't be smarter than us. We're gonna change it just so you can't be right.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that.
Instead of it serving the story.
Instead of it going, oh, you think this is what it's gonna be? All right, we'll let you think
it's the mistake of thinking that the reveal is the thing that's interesting and not the journey to the reveal. Like, listen, do I love a surprise reveal? Of course I do. But also, if I guess it, that's fine too, because I still need to see how we get there.
Yeah.
It's not just that it happens, and I think there's a mistake in thinking that the only thing that matters is that it happens.
I think it's because that goes to me back to egotistical writing, which is like, I have this great idea, and you're never going to guess it, and when it happens, it's going to blow your fucking mind. And then when someone goes, oh, is it this? They go, no, no, that's not it.
Yeah,
it's this, and you couldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
And it's like, rather than going, oh, I love what you're doing. Oh, I think you're going there. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the writing staff going, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Or like, oh, I didn't think about that. That actually makes this even better. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, writing should be a little bit like a murder mystery in that all of the pieces are there. And if you're very clever or very in tune, you'll put the pieces together and you will get the answer.
Yeah.
And not that the answer was never presented to you and you had no chance.
Because if anything, that's kind of bad writing sometimes, where it's like,
it is, yeah.
You would never guess this, and it's like, well, then it's not connected to what the story you were telling.
Yeah.
It's a jump scare.
Yeah.
And like there's moments for that, but like that's not a sign of like incredible writing.
Totally. I completely agree.
And so I think it's a thing that the show, I think it gets applauded for, but maybe still not even enough, because I've never seen another show do it. I think other shows have had relationships with the internet, but nobody has ever had a relationship, and up to this point never has again. Like,
right.
And people try to like force it, and they'll make like multimedia TV where things are happening on the internet and off the internet. And
sure.
It's like, sure. But that's not really what they're doing. They're actually having a relationship with the audience and like bringing them in as part of the fold, and actually bringing them, like acknowledging them in the show and going like, hey, look, not ultimately not putting them on a pedestal, to be like, oh yeah, this shit you guys do is crazy.
Right.
Like, you guys want the brothers to fuck, and that's crazy. We acknowledge it and we get it, but like, let's not pretend like it's not weird.
Do you know what? This is a perfect segue, because we have a similar relationship to our fans.
Oh. They want us to fuck.
They want us to fuck. Also, we acknowledge them without putting them on a pedestal. The stuff they do is insane.
Yeah.
Including
so
I have this message from, well, as you know, in season 5 we had maybe the best thing that's come out of this podcast was the Supernatural Sandwich segment.
Yeah, some could say that.
Yeah, those who are correct.
Those crazy people, yeah.
Hey, the line between genius and insanity is thin.
Just you wait for the next segment.
Yeah, it's definitely got as much effort put in.
I mean,
yeah, fuck you. Not only did we have this segment, but then we were getting drops specifically from our good friend Yo Crow.
That's right.
Who's on Angel Radio. Who's over there. And he gave us a final outro. But
Holy shit.
He said he couldn't get a final intro to the sandwich segment the way he wanted it.
Uh-huh.
It's turned into something else.
Oh.
I have a message.
Oh my God. Are these demands or a message?
Well, I haven't fully read it, so we'll see. We'll discover it together.
Okay.
Hey, Reid. So it's completely up to you guys, but I made a compilation set to music of the sandwich segments, compiling clips from 17 different episodes.
Good God, is that
when I thought the clip was good, funny, or worked with the song?
Oh wow.
It's an apology to the Discord for not getting an intro for the last episode when I said I would. And haha, had a great idea. But also, in doing it, I realized this should have been the intro all along to the last episode.
Sure.
So I hope you guys play it on an episode. And if you do, I only ask the whole thing gets played for full effect. Thank you for playing my drops this season. And I hope to come back for more. Heart, 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 sandwich, 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 sandwich. And then it says, if you want to listen beforehand, just remember to grab a tissue. I did not listen beforehand.
Oh my God, this is gonna sound like shit. Okay.
It's gonna, I'm gonna play it in the traditional manner.
Yeah.
Off my laptop into the mic.
Every time I look at the files to when I'm editing these, it's like everything is one, and then it's like this tiny little audio file every time.
So here we go. This is called it's called Memory.
Oh my God. How have we gotten to the point of the end of season 5 where I'm telling you to do it now?
Hey, it's in your bones.
I hate this.
How could we do an episode without it?
Oh my God.
It's time for the Supernatural Sandwich segment.
One
Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse.
Someone made you a drop? Who made this drop?
This drop comes from Yokro at Scarebro.
Jesus Christ.
It's time for the supernatural sandwich segment.
Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. Though my mind could think, I still was a madman. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming.
Not a heaven sandwich is when two angels go down on you, but
I can hear them say.
Pizza is kind of like the sandwich of being flat.
Wait, what?
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
I can't trust it. Not like this. Not like this.
Masquerading as a man with a reason. My charade is the event of the season. And if I claim to be a wise man, it surely means that I don't
Lord.
know.
That is straight out of a nightmare.
On a stormy sea of moving emotion, tossed about, I'm like a ship on the ocean. I set a course for winds of fortune, but I hear voices say,
Can't we just spray my asshole?
Hey, that's an asshole ID.
Really? Really?
carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest.
What gives you a meat suit,
Jesus Christ.
Richard?
That
was it.
No longer empty.
I
Surely heaven waits
might like the
for
sandwich
you.
segment.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Horse sandwich. A horse-style chicken sandwich.
For all my sandwich sluts out there.
Yeah, for all my sandwich whores
Please.
out there.
Sandwich lore whores.
Yeah, sandwich lore whores. Yeah.
Good God.
There you go.
3.5 minutes?
So dramatic.
I can't believe that.
I fucking love that so much.
The amount of pathos that just gave the sandwich segment.
I feel like I have closure.
Is it austere? Like,
Yeah. Sandwich segment really is the best thing we ever did.
I think I like the sandwich segment now. Good God. I can't believe that exists.
So insane.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, that's some of the crazy shit that our fans have given us.
There's also something else I have, but I don't know if you want to do it now or wait. But I actually don't know what it is.
What?
I don't know what it is. It's an audio.
It's an audio.
Yeah, it's one audio.
One audio.
But I don't know what it is.
From who?
It's from our friend and listener, Josh Gill,
Okay.
who was originally, I think, trying to make something in time for our 100th episode
Oh, okay.
and didn't.
Okay.
And then said I could play it on a future episode. But he made me swear not to open it or look at it in any way.
What? Okay.
Should we just do it?
I mean, yeah, you could set it up and not do it now.
Okay. Well, here we go. This is just called For Ghost Facers. Probably should have had this queued up better, but
Big surprise.
oh my fucking God. We're going to have to insert the audio after here because we need to actually watch this. It's a video, apparently.
What?
It's not an audio. It's a video.
It's a video? What?
Hello, Reid and Richard. Richard Spade here. How are you? Listen, I heard through the grapevine, and by grapevine I mean Josh, that you two are doing a podcast that has now reached 100 episodes. That's right. You've crossed the milestone of 2 digits into 3 digits in the number of podcasts produced by you. Ghostfacers has 100 episodes under its belt, and that's because of you, and because you're doing great work, doing cool stuff about a cool show with cool people, and heck, I bet you're enjoying yourself, because I do a couple of podcasts, and I enjoy the heck out of them. So I hope you're having a great time doing them, and continue to enjoy them for hundreds more episodes into the future. And Lay. I really should have done some diction exercises before I logged on. I bet that your podcast is deserving of not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5-star reviews. I feel that in here. And by the way, I hear that the lore and sandwich segments are the best parts of the show. I've always wondered about the lore of the sandwich. So I'm glad you guys are uncovering that. I also understand that you guys do another podcast, a comic book podcast called Dr. DC, and that both of your podcasts are up for Canadian Podcast Awards. You guys are on fire. I bet that one deserves 5-star reviews too. Well, congratulations. Keep up the great work. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing it really, really well. And like I say, I hope you're having a good time doing it, because you should, because you're talking about topics you love, you guys enjoy each other, and I bet that comes across to the podcast listeners. So keep it up. Keep crushing it, and you'll be at 200 episodes in no time. Cheers.
Holy shit.
You know what he didn't fucking mention even once?
What?
Supernatural.
I know.
So I've got 2 options here. Either one.
I mean, both options have to include gratitude that we got the cameo from Gabriel, right?
Thanks, Josh.
Josh got us
Thanks,
a cameo.
Josh. That's
include the gratitude.
Thank you, Josh. That's
now
really
give your
incredible.
weird ultimatum.
So, one, either he knows that we're fucking biting on his heels and he doesn't want to give the acknowledgement that we're a supernatural podcast.
I did have that thought.
Number 2, he's not that big of a fan. He hasn't even thought about Ghostfacers.
Oh,
being a supernatural thing.
Ghostfacers. Right.
Yeah. And so either way, this is the podcast.
We're the superior supernatural podcast.
You didn't think I was going to turn that into spite? Who do you even fucking know me?
Wow, Josh. Holy shit. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
So worth me not opening it in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
My God. Well, we'll have that audio inserted.
Yes, I'm the one true Richard who hosts a supernatural podcast.
I didn't even think of that.
I'm also a junior, which is weird, but
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Like legally?
I mean, I don't know. Yes, I've got the same name as my father.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, not anymore, but I did. I changed my last name, but
Interesting.
yes, I am technically a junior.
Well, shit.
So, I'm the superior junior Richard who hosts a supernatural podcast.
That was cool as hell.
I've got a
Sorry, I just don't want to spend too much time on it, but Gabriel did say that lore and the sandwich segments are the best ones. And
yeah, a thing that he was told to say. A thing that sounded like there was a gun.
a thing
to
that he
his head.
felt in his heart.
Yeah, I think
that
knew
he knew
what he was talking
like
about.
a fundamental truth of the universe.
Yeah. A thing that he definitely knew.
He's tapped into a sort of cosmic awareness. And he just spoke the truth
yeah,
of
truth to
existence.
power.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we are the most powerful.
we're the most powerful. Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Yokro.
That's incredible.
Thank you, all of you. Just while we're on the subject of thank yous, because a big part of what's made this increasingly fun for me is having Angel Radio and having people write in. We had our extended Dr. Christine back and forth about demon blood transfusions and vague monster medicine and stuff like that, which I fucking love. We've had people weigh in on all sorts of topics and write in, and obviously on Angel Radio, it's people talk about the episodes. That's fun. We have stupid sandwich jokes, but also people have been telling like real stories about the times they've seen like ghosts and shit.
Yeah.
It's some of the scariest shit I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, because there's a level of reality to that it's like these are trusted people who are telling you horrifying things. And you're scared
man,
of that.
I'm so loving this community. One of you, who I won't call out by name just in case you don't want to be called out, wore a Lore Horse shirt while being interviewed online for something else, which I really enjoyed. You guys are awesome. Just while we're saying thank you, I just want to make sure I say thank you to everybody.
Well, speaking of this incredible fan base, we've got a review.
Hey,
that I figured I would read on this episode.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Is this like a spiteful 1-star review, or is this like a really lovely 5-star?
This is a really lovely.
Then let's have it.
Almost too lovely for the main episodes.
Right. Yeah. We don't want to like throw off our rhythm.
Yeah. So from Laura, with the subject, "Thank you for being there."
I'm already welling up.
Yep. Great podcast. I have watched Supernatural from the very beginning. I remember the shock of the season 1 finale car crash. I remember obsessively watching the season 5 finale promo on YouTube. Best promo in the history of the show. Agreed.
Yeah.
Waiting for the episode to air. I also powered through season 6 and kept watching because it was always a comforting thing waiting for me on my DVR. So this past year, I finally got my husband to watch the series with me. A few seasons in, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, no.
Through all the tests and procedures, watching an episode or two together was a bright nightly spot. When we made it to the end, I found your podcast and started it all over. Through surgery, recoveries, and rehab, I know you have been a source of joy and distraction. And an aside, I found the Chuck and Gabe one first and dropped it for you.
Oh, yeah. You hear that, Gabriel?
Love the thirst, love the jokes, love the obvious fan love for the show. I am now cancer-free.
Hey, that's amazing.
2 weeks out from my last surgery and just caught up with all your back episodes. I miss having an episode of yours to pop on, so I'm going to go start back on episode 1. Thank you for being there and bringing laughter during a tough time. Carry on, Laura.
I wasn't braced for this level of sincerity.
I'm not allowed to get emotional on the main episode.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're doing well.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We all love that.
Congratulations.
Incredible.
That's a tough road to hoe. So good job getting through that.
And I'm glad that
you're being very, very sweet about us. I'm happy that we were like on in the background while you were doing the real work of like living and getting better.
No, I think what we had to go through to make those episodes.
Yeah, do you know what? I think the sandwich segment did it. I'm gonna put in a call to Johns Hopkins and be like, have you guys tried treating cancer with sandwich segments?
I've heard it cures cancer.
Yeah, well, I have it on good authority.
And now we're stopping doing the sandwich segment.
Well, oh no. That's how we make sure everybody listens to season 5. Like we have to make sure. Should have done it for season 6. You idiot.
Who knows what diseases we could cure in the future? Just you wait till you see the next segment.
Despite our obvious discomfort with the sincerity,
yes,
we're that's very sweet. Thank you. Very appreciative.
Carry on my.
I'm like, oh god,
I know, you're getting choked out.
It kind of got me. Jesus.
So let's talk about some of the main antagonists that we've dealt with.
Yes,
up to this point.
Yeah,
we've gotten Raphael.
Yeah. Yeah, Raphael is good. The one that I had in my head, it's funny that you had that queued up because that's kind of where I wanted to go too.
Yeah.
I was like, War.
Yeah.
So good. just from this past season. But Titus Welliver, I'm also thinking about him right now because he's going to be playing Lex Luthor on the next season of Titans.
Oh, fuck. That's a great choice.
Yeah.
God, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Old Luthor, too. I like that.
Well, yeah, he's got like a beard in the picture that I saw, too. But at any
Shaved
rate,
head?
yeah.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
picture him with shaved head now.
But yeah, Titus Welliver, like, I love War.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop gushing about Death, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, God.
Not necessarily an antagonist, but very kind of like charismatic and sort of powerful performance,
Same thing with Crowley. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, Crowley has just sort of dipped his toe into this series in season 5.
I think there's something interesting about Crowley, spoilers, but not too many. But Crowley sticks around.
Yeah.
We have more Crowley. But he has such a different trajectory to being a pretty fundamental part of the show than Cass.
Yep.
Because Cass, even if Cass was meant to kind of be only in for the season then out or something,
yeah,
Cass was like in a lot of episodes. Crowley almost has like a Bobby trajectory where it's like sort of sprinkled in here and there, and then you just go like, no, like this energy is good.
Yeah.
Because Bobby kind of had that too, right? He'd only show up once or twice. Like, I don't even think to this point he's shown up in a season's worth of episodes.
No.
I think if you really look at how many episodes Bobby's been in, it's under 20.
Yeah.
And I think there's something interesting about Crowley having a sort of similar trajectory that way of like, here's one, here's a couple more, then you go like, oh fuck, like no, like there's something interesting here that we need to keep like plumbing.
Exactly. Yeah. I love his introduction. We of course get Lucifer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we did a great job of dodging talking about Mark Pellegrino, but the performance of Lucifer is just impeccable.
I mean, do you want to talk about the controversy like with him? Like,
I mean, not overly. Suffice it to say, he's just kind of like a problematic guy who keeps trying to frame it as there's both sides sort of thing.
Yeah,
But performance-wise, he's so captivating. Because again, Lucifer is in 4 episodes.
Is that it?
5 episodes of season 5, and that's it.
Crazy.
So impactful, though, and playing all the way through. We talked about this so much. That idea of like, yes, obviously he's bad. He does revel in darkness.
Yeah.
But he's also honest and personable. And he believes he's right.
Yeah.
And he plays all of those things simultaneously so well. And it makes Lucifer so much scarier than a Lucifer who's just like, I'm the beast, you'll burn.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, that's bad, but like,
it's not interesting.
There's something like about someone who is has the traits of personhood.
Yeah.
Who is you see when someone is wronged and hurt and petty, because I think what the show does is set up that like
he's a hurt child.
Lucifer is bad, but that doesn't mean he's not also wronged.
Yeah.
And like
that's just good writing for villains. Yeah,
totally. But applying that to something so cosmic, so someone wronged and petty and hurt with the power of the most powerful archangel. And, the sort of the divine power coursing through him is so much more threatening.
100%.
Yeah. And then to juxtapose that with the whole supernatural aesthetic of like button-up shirts and jeans, like that's all Lucifer wears, except for that one kind of little future thing with Sam in the suit.
Yeah.
Which I dig that kind of look, but I also...
You get why, like, that was like this idealized fantasy version of this future, and in practice, maybe it doesn't make as much sense.
Totally, but like that, you
love the theatrics of it.
I also like a white suit Satan. Like that's the thing I like in that Constantine movie.
Sure,
and like I kind of I dig on that shit a little bit anyway. But yeah, I mean, to put all of that in this very kind of like humble body, to play like that this vessel is decaying, to play like, no, we're in it together, buddy. Like, I'll give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
You give me whatever. Like, all of that just so compelling, and I think it was a smart move after Lilith, who was more of a mustache twirly villain. Oh, your guts will be inside out. There's be hellfire on Earth, blah, blah, blah. And then to release whatever the mustache twirly villain was doing and go like, oh, like he's playing it like too cool.
Yeah.
You know, that, yeah, totally. Lucifer was a great big bad.
Yeah. I mean, and then this sort of introduction of like what is sort of the series, like what the concept of this entire series is, which is like you're introducing God as essentially an absentee father, which is basically the conversation of this entire series is a conversation about fathers and sons.
Yeah, the fact that like obviously season 5 does a lot of legwork on the like Michael and Lucifer are brothers, Dean and Sam are brothers, but like they do a lot of work to show you
parallels,
show you the parallel. But the idea that like the fate of the universe and reality and existence hinges on the same kind of like feelings and wants and needs of this microcosm family.
Yeah.
It's very, powerful. It's very simple. It's not, I wouldn't even say it's revolutionary or anything.
No.
It's like kind of screenwriting 101 sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's done in this very kind of like, I don't know if it's because it's done so kind of clearly and concisely, or if it's because they're treating it simply. They're not trying to outsmart you about it. It's very obvious. I don't know if it's that or if it's just that it's a pure distillation of it or something, but it does like resonate. It's extremely powerful. And so anytime there's a moment that even riffs on the idea of family or fatherhood or parenting, when we get the time travel stuff and we meet the grandparents, or when he meets his dad, or, you know, when we have stuff with like when they gotta save kids or things like that. Like anytime those things come up and there's an element of like tapping into those kind of emotions. The Jimmy episode, you know, where we're seeing Cass's vessel and what it's done to his family, that Cass has been riding this guy or whatever, you know, like the sacrifice, you know, like, you know, taking it off of the, you know, the burden off the kid and stuff like that. Like anytime that those themes come back is pretty powerful stuff. I think.
I mean, it's all about family.
I mean, it is. We're talking about like a fundamental truth of the universe, which is that we're all Fast and Furious.
We don't get a ton of him, but Michael's in and out.
It's good that you bring up Michael. There's something. It's
like
not
slightly flawed.
Something slightly. Well, I mean, Michael obviously is flawed.
No, but I mean the writing of Michael, I think.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, there's two levels to it. Michael is a flawed character in an interesting way, in that he is overly loyal.
Yeah.
You know, in the thing we're exploring with Dean and Sam anyway, right? But there's a flaw in how they present Michael, in that he's like, I shouldn't say it's a flaw. There's something fascinating in the way they present Michael and the way they present the angels. They are distant, right? Up until season 4, people aren't even 100% sure angels exist.
Yeah.
Demons, we know.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot more of them, and it's getting bad, but, like, that's a known quantity for hunters and things like that. Angels was like, huh?
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, even though other angels seem to be a little bit more at ease on Earth, the whole thing with Cass being like, I don't know this reference, or, you know, like stuff like that, it's like, we're putting distance there. And then also the angels are like, well, we have this divine destiny, and we're going to beat Satan, and some people will die, but it'll be good. They're disconnected, right? Yeah. It's the thing of like they can't be on the side of good because they have no compassion.
Yeah.
They have no empathy. They're just kind of drones. And so Michael has to be emblematic of that. And so I think partly what that does is makes it very abstract. We meet Michael once in the lead up, and he kind of says like, you're going to do this, and don't worry, you'll come around, blah, blah, blah. He feels in that scene where he's inside John when they're back in time. Mm-hmm. There isn't a sense that he's similar to Lucifer, where he says, you are going to say yes. You're going to take your time. You're going to figure it out. But it's all, I'm confident. I know.
The piece is like, this is a long told story. Yeah.
A thing I don't fully understand is Lucifer has this like temporary vessel.
Yeah.
It feels like so many lesser angels or ones who aren't as powerful or smart or whatever are bumbling their way through trying to convince Dean to say yes.
Sure.
But why wouldn't Michael do it himself a little bit? You know, I know eventually he takes Adam as a vessel, but he actually just takes him as a vessel. There's a part of me that's like, I can't decide if it's good writing or bad writing, if it shows the disconnection from humanity or not.
Yeah.
Or that it's kind of like lazy, that Michael doesn't come to Earth in another vessel that will burn out to get at, to be like, you, Zachariah couldn't fucking do it. I'm going to do it. Like, where is Michael? You know, and the sense of like, it's implied, but the idea like Michael is like running heaven.
Yeah, because that's what they talk about at the end of the series, which is like Castiel's like, I guess since Michael's not there, nobody's running heaven. I got to go up.
You know what I mean? Like there's a, it feels like, you know, when Gabriel dies, that Michael should do something.
Yeah.
Like, because we have this thing about brothers. Lucifer and Gabriel have a great thing. You know, Michael and Lucifer have an interesting conversation. But like, it feels like Michael should be there more, even if he's still wrong and following the plan and whatever. There's something about him, like he's almost too absent, like beyond the metaphor.
Sure, yeah.
That's kind of almost how I feel about him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there. I don't know if I fully feel that way.
Michael feels underexplored.
I agree with that, though, yeah.
By the show in general, I would say.
Yeah. I think so. I think he was a lost opportunity, and this isn't the end of Michael.
No, and without spoilers, I don't think they ever crack it.
I don't think so either.
I think Michael is a fully lost opportunity by the show.
100%.
A kind of rare one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think bringing in Adam in general was like a bit of a misstep, I think, on the show.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know how.
Unless that was just, they were like, as the show got to the point that Sam and Dean got to, it's like, you've been telling us the whole time I'm the vessel. And it's like the show was like, oh, shit. Yeah.
It does feel like a weird like stumble of like.
Although I guess Adam was brought in before any of that, but still.
But yeah, I think the Michael and Adam, I think, were a weird sort of spot within that whole thing.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, those are your big ones. I think the only character that we haven't really talked that much about is Chuck.
Chuck. We meet Chuck, and he's presented to us as a prophet, and he's the writer. We've seen how he lives, and we've seen his awkward thing with Becky and all that kind of stuff. I think a
stroke of genius in general. It's which is like how do we like bring in the writers of this series as part of the show?
So smart. You know, they'd be like, Bugs isn't even that good. You know, like I love all of that stuff. I love the convention episode. I think he plays it so well. The end of season 5, you know, that finale is framed with Chuck narrating, and he's writing Swan Song, and then he disappears at the end.
Like it evaporates into
kind of evaporates, yeah. And when I watched that for the first time a couple of years ago, I texted you, spoilers ahead, holy shit, is Chuck God?
Which everybody, all the fans did too, the real fans.
And that's not like a crazy leap. It's pretty teed up.
Yeah.
But I was like, is Chuck God? And you were like, and then he's just, any other show would be like season 6.
Fucking yeah.
Any other show, he'd be like, and that's it for me, Chuck, aka God. Or they'd be like, season 6, there he is, baby. And he's not.
No.
You know, not really a spoiler, but like season 6, season 7,
Yeah.
keep going in the show. No Chuck. He just disappears. And you go like, wait, was that? Did we just miss the?
Which I'll say,
I think
stroke of genius.
It is one of the biggest fucking power moves this show ever pulls off.
Yeah.
And it works so goddamn well that they go like, yep. And what you're thinking, like, yep,
Maybe.
could be. And
Wait,
that's just up to you. We're not going to spell it out. We're not going to confirm. We're not going to deny. You think whatever you want.
Yeah. They play that so well.
Incredible. I mean, we recorded the season 6 premiere before this.
Yeah.
And we talk in that episode with Kyle, we talk a little bit about like how ballsy the show can be while still essentially reverting to its core premise.
Yeah.
This, the Chuck disappearing, and what does that mean? And is he a prophet? Did he ascend to heaven? Is he God? Is he whatever? Like that lingering thing is the biggest piece of like, and we will not treat this like regular TV.
Yeah.
We're just gonna fucking leave it.
Yeah.
Forever. Like I kind of I love the attitude of like, there's not even like a hint of like, stick around. We'll be like, it's just, as you keep watching, you just go like, I guess this is done. It's pretty wild and pretty, you have to have a lot of confidence in your writing and your, there's no guarantees how much longer the show goes on, right? So to them to resist the urge in season 6 to be like, and let's follow up on that thread. Like they could have been canceled after season 6.
Yeah.
Season 6 isn't a strong season. Like it could have happened.
Yeah.
So like that is confident, ballsy writing that I love.
Totally. A thing that I want to talk about, because I'll mention it again in 5 years, but this is Kripke's ending of the series is season 5. This was how he wanted to end it.
Right.
The thing that I know that, and I won't go into too much detail, but the way that the series ends,
right,
people have a lot of issues with it. And the thing that kept coming up was people were like, well, Kripke should have written the ending. And Kripke came out and was like, the ending that I wanted, you don't want.
Yeah.
He's like, I would have made a lot bleaker of an ending. This is that ending, just in case people like. Obviously, it would have been different if he had written the 15th.
Right, but it's like
this is the
Sam
vibe.
Goes to hell. Yeah,
and that's the end. Sam dies, goes to hell, and Dean finds a
family.
Like if you were looking for something transcendent and like hopeful, that's not what Kripke does.
Yeah, like an actual show finale.
Yeah, that's not what Kripke does. And I think like as easy it is to be critical.
I mean, good for him to also have like the self-awareness of it and be like, I already gave you I already gave you my ending, and B, that's not what you want. The show is different now. Yeah. It's turned into something else.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just think like it's easy to be critical of that, and we'll get there, and I'm sure we'll be very critical of it. But I think that at the end of the day, like this is that finale, and I think like it is indicative of who Kripke is, and it makes sense. And I think like there's a lot that he brought to this series.
They really are different shows.
1000%.
The first 5 seasons and the last 10.
Yeah, are two different
as
series.
groups. You could probably subdivide it further.
Yeah.
But even just as like kind of big groups, they are different shows. And this is the end of that show. And even though it's not a clean break, we're picking up story threads, we're picking up characters, we'll pick up all sorts of things. This is the end of Supernatural as created by Eric Kripke.
Yeah.
And it becomes Supernatural like as envisioned by the people that love it. Yeah. Including the writers, including the fans, including the actors, including,
God disappears and what's left. Like that's what happens to the show. And I think like we're gonna have a lot of discussions about the way that it changes, and like there are a lot of improvements that happen. And obviously there's gonna be a lot. I mean, like spoiler alert, like Reid and I are not as critical of these next 2 seasons as other people are, and I think
no, we're not. While still acknowledging that they are among the weaker ones, like I generally am into it. Yeah, like I did not slow down when I got here. I powered through. Actually, I probably watched it faster.
If anything, I slowed down in season 12. Like that's
that's
when I always stopped.
Yeah,
but. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And,
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I have to say about this.
I don't have too much else to say. I just, it's the end of like this portion of the show. It just kind of felt like it needs a little bit of space to breathe.
Yeah.
And I had to play. We had to include things that like range in sincerity.
Much like the series does.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. We love doing this. There's like 5 or 6 more years of us doing this. I think it's like 5.
I think it's 5. It's 2027.
It's actually a little less than 5.
Oh,
It's more like
okay.
4.5.
We'll see.
It's early 2027, I think, is when we'll be done.
Yeah.
And then what? I don't know.
Smallville.
Just in time for the one that Welling and
yeah.
Rosenbaum do to be done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody pod me.
All right. Let us know what your thoughts were on these last few seasons. How are you feeling about going into season 6?
Yeah, I want to know if anyone has like only been watching along with us,
I would desperately know. I can't imagine anybody is, but let us know.
or if anyone has either skipped or stopped before season 6.
Ooh.
Like if there's people who like fell off and then came back on later. I'm curious because this is like kind of that weird gap era. I'm curious if we're going into like people's blind spots.
Yeah, uncharted territory for
yeah,
everybody.
that's what I want to know. Yeah.
All right. This is it for this week. And get ready for Kyle, obviously,
Baby.
and season 6.
That's right.
Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk. I almost said adios.
I know you do.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.